The most corroborating evidence we have is that 1023 form from this highly credible, confidential human source, according to U.S. Attorney Scott Brady.
We have determined that whistleblower is extremely credible.
Special counsel David Weiss charging Alexander Smirnov provided the FBI false derogatory information.
You said that 1023 is the most corroborating piece of information you have.
It corroborates, but it doesn't change those fundamental facts. So now
it's not true.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to just start by restating the obvious, which is that the impeachment investigation essentially ended yesterday, restating my call to Chairman Comer, to Speaker Johnson, to fold up the tent to this circus show. It's really over at this point.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
And if you listen carefully, that's the final nail in the GOP impeachment sham.
But this is the path that they've chosen to take. And honestly, I'm surprised that they have this high of a threshold for humiliation. Every witness that they have called has decimated their arguments, from Devin Archer to Peter Schwerin to Marvin Young. And then we have the guy behind the Holy Grail document, the 1023, Alexander Smirnov, who's found that he had lied, right, about the charges, the $5 million that went to both of them. And then it gets even better. Not only did he lie, he was lying because the Russians were feeding him the disinformation.
And who better to deliver that fatal blow than a man who at every turn has called to attention the gross waste of taxpayer dollars that has been the GOP impeachment that never was, than Jamie Raskin.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to just start by restating the obvious, which is that the impeachment investigation essentially ended yesterday in substance, if not in form, with the explosive revelation that Mr. Smirnov's allegations about Ukrainian Burisma payments to Joe Biden were concocted along with Russian intelligence agents. And it appears like the whole thing is not only obviously false and fraudulent, but a product of Russian disinformation and propaganda. And that's been the motor force behind this investigation for more than a year. No, this is a subdued affair.
Now, as I'm sure you're aware by now, Republicans have yet again found themselves with enough egg on their face to feed the mountain. That's a lot of protein. After a new memo filed by prosecutors in Nevada argued for the detention of Alexander Smirnov, the man charged with lying to investigators about Hunter Biden's connections to Burisma, as it was noted that Smirnov allegedly had contacts with high-level Russian operatives. The memo was filed by prosecutors as part of an effort to keep Smirnov behind bars pending trial. Now, I know what you're thinking, guys, right? God, this is embarrassing and dangerous. Surely the party of America First would end this impeachment sham now and actually investigate why one of their, quote, credible informants was so easily granted access to one of the highest branches of government, gaining insight into God knows what, right?
The president's involvement in a bribery scheme, now that Alexander Smirnov is proven to have made it up, and it was based off Russian intelligence.
Doesn't change the four fundamental facts. Hunter Biden was put on the board of Burisma, gets paid $1 million a year. Fact number two, he's not qualified to be on the board. He said so himself in an interview, I don't know, with you or some network. Fact number three, Zolochevsky and Pizarski, the two executives at Burisma, specifically asked Hunter Biden, can you weigh in with D.C. and help us deal with the pressure we are facing from the prosecutor?
You said that 1023 is the most corroborating piece of information you have.
It corroborates, but it doesn't change those fundamental facts. So now
it's not true.
Well, so okay, so it's the FBI told us that this source was so 14.
Oh, so they're just going to keep going. All right, cool. Maybe the rabbit hole will lead them to Hunter's laptop. Who knows? Anyway, while Republicans were doing this, Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, he held a press conference of his own, stating that the Republicans' impeachment inquiry into President Biden has been demolished by new revelations that Russia might have played a role in drumming up this false narrative. And yeah, it's worth a watch, especially the part about the circus.
Here's like the whole thing is not only obviously false and fraudulent, but a product of Russian disinformation and propaganda. And that's been the motor force behind this investigation for more than a year. As for today's transcribed interview with the brother of President Biden, Mr. James Biden. We obviously, again, have heard nothing indicating that Joe Biden had anything to do with the business ventures of Hunter Biden or James Biden. And nothing has contradicted that basic understanding that we've had for many, many months now. So that's essentially where we are. Again, I'm restating my call to Chairman Comer, to Speaker Johnson, to fold up the tent to this circus show. It's really over. I'll allow the Republicans to reconstruct for you whatever they're trying to accomplish, but I can assure you that that he has restated our basic understanding that we've had for many months now, which is that Joe Biden had nothing to do with these business ventures. He was not involved in any way, and he was not receiving any money from them. He was not a business partner or a business associate. And so that has been well established time and time again. And nothing we've heard so far contradicts that in any way. And I don't expect anything that he says to contradict that basic understanding.
Now, as we know, Republicans have leaned heavily on the declarations of Alexander Smirnov, a former FBI informant who alleged that Biden and his son Hunter both received $5 million in payments from Burisma. In fact, if you remember, they gleefully teased this and on countless platforms, talking about how this big bad forum was going to be the next Watergate.
What is the whistleblower saying specifically?
Well, as you know, Maria, Senator Grassley and I have reviewed a legally protected and highly credible whistleblower document, which alleges that there was an exchange of money for policy decisions made by then Vice President Joe Biden. We have determined that whistleblower is extremely credible. We take this whistleblower claim very seriously.
A trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family.
And a highly credible FBI source alleges that Joe Biden received $5 million in exchange for pressuring for the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor.
I mean, the case has been cracked, guys. We're just missing the one document the FBI is hiding. And the whistleblower says the FBI has the document.
Now, after this revelation, they're walking it back as if it wasn't that important after all.
Used to further investigate off of the information that Tony Bobulinski gave him. This whole thing reeks, and I hope that we get all the information. If Joe Biden's clean, as an American, I want to know that. But I do think we have to do a deep dive into what's happening here inside the Biden administration.
Yeah, and Sean, this did not all center around Smirnov's testimony. I just want to make that point as well.
No, but
Sean,
it was
Jessica,
foundational.
we gotta go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but yeah, thoughts and prayers to James Comer and the fake, frivolous, faux Biden impeachment that they've been trying to run. It's been so successful. You haven't heard him talk about it for the last couple of weeks. They had to switch to Mayorkas because there's no evidence in Joe Biden. And now what do we find out? What we've known all along, that this 1023 form that they cried over for months and months was all a lie. It was all a lie, and the guy who made it up has been indicted. By the way,
here's the thing. I want to focus on the latter part of Raskin's comments, that Republicans, in their defense of former President Trump, have basically painted themselves in a corner, consistently downplaying Russian wrongdoing around the globe.
And I will tell you, for my part, the CFC, nominally private Chinese bank, but clearly under some Chinese state influence, is a tenant of Trump Tower and paid huge amounts of money to Donald Trump while he was president, as documented in our report on the foreign government emoluments that Donald Trump was collecting while he was in office, the White House for Sale report, which we can refer you to.
And it's not hyperbole. Let's just look at their actions, shall we? Everything from House Republicans openly denying aid to Ukraine.
I think the Republicans, in the meantime, however, are in danger of losing the advantage they have vis-a-vis Biden on the issue of the border and on the issue of Ukraine funding, Israel funding, funding to defend Taiwan, because they are refusing to act on these measures that would deal with that. Also on the issue of rebuilding America's defense, in peril of looking like literally a do-nothing Congress, which is something you can bet the Biden administration is going to be talking about.
The fact that their frontrunner admitted on stage that he'd roll out the red carpet for Putin to invade NATO allies.
NATO was busted until I came along. I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
Given all of the things that have happened this week, including, and I know you asked Chris Christie about this, the fact that Donald Trump yesterday suggested that Vladimir Putin should have free rein in attacking NATO allies. Yeah. And what do we see when we wake up this morning? Wall-to-wall coverage of whether a guy who's 4 years older than his opponent is too old to be president.
I mean, could it get any more apparent? What's next? Are conservatives just going to, I don't know, go to Russia and brag about how easy it is to shop in their super?
We're going to try and buy what a family of four would buy every week, and we're going to see what the selection is, and we're going to see what it costs. And seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized.
Beat me to it there, did you, Tucker? But let me tell you, this is not too far removed from the modern day GOP.
The most corroborating evidence we have is that 1023 form from this highly credible, confidential human source.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.